that from you. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So I'll just say good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another TMC Connect partner webinar. I'm Melanie Thomas, and today I'm pleased to have with me Dan Catanella from Total Expert and USA Mortgage's Alec Pisinich.
Yep, nailed it.
I'm so sorry. We're here to discuss beyond speed to lead, building scalable customer growth with intelligence and AI enabled automation. It's going to be a great discussion. But before I hand it off to Dan, just a couple of housekeeping items. Now, this is being recorded and everybody attending is muted. But please, if throughout the webinar, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. We're happy to touch on them. And everybody that's registered is going to get a copy of this recording later this week. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dan.
Awesome. Thank you, Melanie. And thank you, Alec, for having this discussion with us today and sharing some of the things that you've seen as you looked at across your organization and your originators and really looked at up-leveling their ability to convert more of the leads that they have coming into the funnel. So just to maybe kick things off, what we're seeing at Total Expert is the lenders and originators winning in today's market are really looking at transforming their sales and their workflows to human plus AI assisted models, where they're building these lead conversion operating models that maintain relationships for decades, not just that single transaction that they're working on. So today, Alec and I wanted to really talk about what that actually looks like in practice, talk about some of the success that him and his team at USA Mortgage are seeing, and some of the success that he's being able to amplify through his organization, through his originators that he serves there. So to kick things off, maybe I wanted to just share a slide that maybe helps set the stage in a little more visual way of some of the investments that Total Expert has made over the last couple of years, and really how those different capabilities have started to amplify kind of the vision for the future, where it's no longer a human alone model. It's really a human plus AI assistant model. So if I can figure out how to share my screen here. So when we talk about, when we've discovered and really dove into a lot of how originators are working today, we're seeing kind of this evolution of traditional retail originators. Although they're still primarily focused on the referral partner relationships, driving in purchase business, we're seeing this evolution where there's kind of this emergence of traditional retail capabilities coupled with what may be perceived as more the consumer direct type of capabilities. And it's basically a combination of a lot of different lead sources now. Yes, the referral partners are their primary lead source for their purchase business, but you have things like data intelligence platforms like Total Expert's Customer IQ capabilities that's monitoring their past customer database, surfacing new opportunities that they also want to treat as leads and opportunities. And then we also are seeing more and more branches invest into buying Zillow leads or LendingTree or MRC and all these combination of different lead aggregators that they also want to add to their funnel to supplement their business. So, we're seeing a lot of originators really need this single unified platform, not disparate systems where they can manage all of these leads holistically. And then in some cases, they may need to route those leads to different parts of their organization or different team members in a specific branch. So if they do need that capability, their expectation is that it is all under one operating model. And then the engagement component has also transitioned to be much more automation focused. Make sure that we have long-term nurturing plays in place. Make sure we understand, hey, if I can't serve somebody today because they don't qualify for credit, then I'm not just throwing them in the trash can, but I'm incubating that consumer, educating them on the next steps, and ultimately turning them into future pipeline. And then the AI-enabled capabilities has started to become table stakes and game-changing through a lot of the lenders that we serve. And Alec's going to talk about some of the use cases with USA today and their progression there, but leveraging things like AI voice technology and SMS capabilities to really help engage consumers at a scale and consistency that's really never before possible until AI and some of these capabilities came to market. So, with that, I just wanted to set the stage. This is kind of how we look at the entire lead ecosystem when we're talking with distributed retail lenders and how those capabilities kind of chain together to really make sure that we're maximizing the conversion rates for our lenders that we serve.
I also
So,
think this slide is so cool as well. Just we've been with T since 2017 and just the evolution of this process as well, adding in different components to it, building upon obviously a good baseline, but kind of evolving. Obviously, this goes for most probably teams. They spend a tremendous amount of time building out customer engagement strategies inside Total Expert, and it changes with technology that obviously you guys have brought to the table. Customer IQ really helps surface those opportunities, especially when it comes to the gold that's in our loan officers' databases. Everyone has an opportunity in there. It's just a matter of time and being able to find those opportunities. I think lead management has really helped us know at a quick glance, hey, where are these leads in the process, making action plans a little bit easier with our team. And then you were just talking about AI sales assistant. It really works those opportunities to deliver that warm handoff. And just kind of talking of over this year, it's been so interesting just to see how things have evolved and the quickness of evolution. I think it was about this time last year, Dan, we were sitting at our executive boardroom table, kind of talking about this dilemma. Retail loan officers are dabbling in lead spend, creating this hybrid environment. But that struggle also goes into the support side of things from the lead nurturing perspective. So, how does our team kind of keep up with this new environment? And then you kind of started talking about the vision for lead management, AI sales assistant, customer IQ. And I think now we're really able to come full circle after implementing all. So I'm really excited to dive in a little bit further, bring some value to others who are probably having that same dilemma that we were talking about.
yeah, I think it would be great, maybe just Alec, just to set the stage. If you look back a year ago where you were, maybe walk everybody through some of the biggest friction points that you
Yeah,
had in USA. I know you had a couple, different disparate systems.
right.
Some of the challenges maybe that led you to invest further and you were a very early adopter of some of our lead management capabilities
Mhm.
that we released early this year, and um, maybe talk about some of the success you've seen with that.
Yeah. And I think to that point, friction was the biggest part of that. No uniform system, if you will. So I'd say we kind of modernized the process as you guys have modernized the product. So we really leaned into the full suite you guys had to offer, what was available. The issue, in my opinion, wasn't a lack of effort on our side or a loan officer side by any means. We have strong loan officers, plenty of lead activity, but the handoff was the issue between the lead sources, the system, and the follow-up. It was just inconsistent across the board. Most producers probably had their own system in place, whether that was really reminder based for their inbox, or maybe it was more so spreadsheets, personal call lists, which I know any marketing or CRM team on this call, they love when a loan officer manages their database out of an Excel spreadsheet. Really, the lack of centralization was, I think, the biggest issue. So again, we had the leads, we have loan officers, but the gap was in the middle where the opportunities kind of just disappeared. Not because anyone dropped the ball per se, but because there was no system really catching those opportunities. So the challenge was kind of those habits to not scale across the organization, obviously. There's no uniform system in place. And that kind of is a struggle for our corporate team because there's limited ways on how we can help support that. So really kind of moving forward to this system, creating that uniform place that will capture the leads, we kind of created one source of truth, which is, you'll probably hear me talk about that again, but the goal of kind of everything behind this. So what that really meant for us meant a couple things. Um, Obviously, opportunities were falling through the cracks, whether that meant leads were being contacted late, nurturing was inconsistent, maybe it was duplicated across multiple systems, or never moved into the right next step during the first touch process, or maybe even never making its way into the CRM. I think for us, the turning point was really realizing lead management could not just be a marketing campaign problem or an LO habit problem. It needed to become an operational model that connected really data, automation, accountability. And I think one piece that isn't talked about enough, but also human follow-up, using these tools and making sure that it's enabling the human, the loan officer, to continue to build those relationships. We had systems in place, but it was a matter of getting the leads into one system and hitting them at the right time. Not all buyers are the same. Some are, hey, I'm 6 months down the road, I'm a year down the road, my credit's not in the right place yet. So that's not a one size fits all campaign. It can't be. So making sure we're hitting them in the right place to increase conversion while also providing our LOs easy visibility into the who, what, and why, I like to say. Who is the lead? What do they need? And why is the opportunity present? So the opportunities were already there. We just needed a better way to make sure the right person saw it, understood it, and I'd say acted on it at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, great. I think, when I look at, not only your organization, but a lot of organizations that we work with, I think traditionally they've had all these disconnected, disparate systems, maybe one to manage top of the funnel opportunities, and then, they're leveraging maybe another one for in process through post close. So what you have done is bring all of that, now leveraging some of these latest capabilities and everything from lead all the way through the next opportunity to serve. Every single customer has a very clear journey based off of the lead source, their situation, how early they are in their buying process or potential to refinance, things of that nature. And you've kind of unified that entire process to make it not only simple for the originator, but you've also reduced your cost significantly as an organization by being able to kind of consolidate some of those other solutions.
Absolutely. I'm sure compliance loves it too, because there's a little bit more control on the messaging going out. Not that we're trying to over
Sure.
control things, but we want to make sure we're as dialed in as possible with our
Yeah.
messaging.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I wanted to, share a little bit about your customer IQ capabilities too. And for anybody that is listening to this and isn't fully aware of what customer IQ is, really that's the data intelligence layer that is native to Total Expert that really is monitoring your database. So an originator, typically, we know, especially in distributed retail, they're not great at follow up. They're not great at outreach into their past customers, or even identifying that there's a potential opportunity to serve these customers. So think of customer IQ as that data intelligence layer that's constantly enriching and updating every single consumer that sits in your database so that you understand, hey, what is the propensity to serve every single consumer for a purchase or refinance. So maybe somebody's in the money for a refinance because the market moved, or somebody hits a debt threshold because they racked up $20,000 of high interest revolving debt, but they have $100,000 of tappable equity in their home, or they get their credit pulled by another lender, or they get married or divorced. All of these insights typically lead to meaningful conversations and ultimately lead to a potential transaction as well. So I wanted to share. This is thank you for letting me share this, Alec, today.
Absolutely.
This is year-to-date metrics, so January through June of the results that USA has seen. And we've just started layering in, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the AI-enabled capabilities on top of this. But these are the results you've seen year-to-date, January to June, based off of the monitoring pool. So you're monitoring, about 190,000 customers, and ultimately turn that in just in the last 6 months into
Yeah.
almost 60 million in loan volume attributed
And
to
counting.
these insights and counting. Yeah. With another 175 million in applications that should fall through the funnel as well, because we know
Absolutely.
you guys will convert probably 80% of those into fundings. So great results. But what we're seeing with the technology that we're talking about today is you now have the ability to convert these opportunities. Let's just take a refinance opportunity. We identify somebody's in the money for a refinance. We can now convert that into a lead, and it can basically be not only nurtured and engaged, but also gives the originator a single pane of glass to manage that, just like they would any of their other purchase leads for their referral partners, or if they're buying leads from lead aggregators. So now they have really a single pane of glass, unified platform to manage everything from their past customer opportunities through new customer acquisitions through referral partners or lead aggregators. Talk a little bit about your own views and some of the
Yeah.
comments from your own originator community on the success they've seen with customer IQ.
Yeah, so really kind of the goal for us, the value of intelligence is a lot more so focused than anything. It helps the LO understand where to spend the time without manually digging through every contact, every loan record, or every past activity. We've used other systems in the past prior to using CI, but there's always something that's left to be desired when two separate systems try to communicate. So with the customer IQ built into Total Expert, it's really changed the game for us from a customer monitoring perspective. It's actually funny. We had this meeting today. One of our RVPs, he's been with our organization pretty much from day one. I mentioned I was doing this call today, and he was like, "Man, Total Expert has really taken things to the next level lately." And you don't always get these, but he also mentioned a really cool success story. One of his older originators recently got a credit inquiry from a previous closed borrower. The borrower, like most, totally forgot that they did that transaction with that loan officer however many years in the past. Long story short, this LO now has a 400K deal in his pipeline, all by acting on the intel that we in Total Expert delivered to his inbox. The better the signal, the better the conversation, in my opinion. And LO is not just calling to check in. They can call with contacts, to your kind of point there, Dan, whether it be equity movements, credit activity, a likely refinance window, or another reason that makes the outreach feel more so timely rather than just, hey, checking in. I think that's really what moves the needle for a lot of folks there. And that's a big shift from less a broad marketing follow up and more a conversation ready follow up. It gives LOs a little bit more relevant reason to reach out and give borrowers that more personalized experience, which a ton of people are hungry for, standing out a little bit more. And then from a marketing perspective, this is where automation becomes more valuable, in my opinion. And it's not just sending more messages. It's helping our sales team know which conversations deserve attention in that matter. And again, they have a huge database, and a lot of them probably aren't farming that database to the fullest extent. So the win again is not technology sending something out on our behalf. The win is helping our loan officers show up with a better reason to connect and even win more deals. I think
Yeah.
this kind of leads into the next part of the conversation we're going to have here. And it's interesting because I guess I meet with loan officers. That's really all I do. But I met with one of our top producing teams yesterday to talk a little bit more about AI Sales Assistant. And we were looking over a specific contact that triggered a rate alert. And the way we have it set up, AI Sales Assistant called, and the borrower also got an email. So we want to hit them on multiple channels just because some channels work better for borrowers. The borrower responded to the email and it generated a real conversation with that loan officer and with that borrower, and they started talking through refinance opportunities. So again, our loan officers aren't spending time figuring out who to call. They're spending time actually having these high quality conversations, and those conversations are happening because they're more informed.
Yeah, I think it's a great lead into, the next kind of segment, which is how you're starting to use these AI enabled capabilities, right? So you're in the process of early launch of our AI sales assistant capability, which is a human-like conversation that is tapping into this customer IQ context layer. So somebody's in the money for a refinance, all of those data points, what was the previous transaction? What do we estimate we can save that consumer? All of that gets fed into the AI sales assistant. So when it initiates that call to the consumer, it's a super human-like personalized conversation based off of the opportunity in front of them. And,
Exactly.
this isn't, we've had a lot of these conversations with originators that this isn't replacing the originator. This is amplifying the originator and giving them capabilities and superpowers that can 2, 3, 4, 5x their business. And we've already seen that in many of our customers. So it's about how do we make sure that we can help originators connect with more consumers than ever possible before, allow them to continue to focus on their purchase business, we know that's where they want to primarily focus, but making sure that they're not letting customers run out the back door. We know, originators, they're not going to call their past customers consistently. We know that even if the market changes and they got 1,000 past customers that are potentially in the money for a refinance, they can't react to that in the speed, scale, and consistency that's needed to convert them, because maybe that market only moves for 2 or 3 weeks and they just don't have enough time to operationalize this. So this kind of unlocks the ability to give them scale that was never before possible to outreach to all of those consumers. You take the market movement, they could reach out to all of their past customers that are potentially in the money for a refinance literally in one single day. And then it will either do a warm transfer to them if they choose, or they can, automatically dip into their calendar, understand their availability, and place a meeting on their calendar. So that's kind of the new operating model that um, doesn't distract them from their purchase business, building referral partner relationships, strengthening that, but also make sure that they're not losing all the opportunity that may be slipping out the back door and falling through the cracks with their past customers. So the combination of customer IQ plus AI sales assistant is starting to become game changing in what you're seeing at USA Mortgage.
Yeah, and I also think that's a great point too. Like that's how you have to position it. It's support for the LO or the LOAs on the team, not replacement. That was really the simple message to our pilot group. AI can help with consistency and more so timing, but the relationship, the trust, the judgment, and actual conversation, that still is going to belong to the loan officer as they're the one that actually created that relationship in the first place. And we've definitely seen some early wins. We're newer to having launched it, but I have gotten some really good feedback from our originators. We started with a small pilot group so we can get that good, solid feedback. And it was pretty cool because the loan officers are not seeing it as another tool that they potentially have to babysit. Like I said, I talk with loan officers all the time. Met with one recently who's a part of that group, and she said, Alec, I got my first book meeting. I'm not really sure what to do with this. And I'm like, that's really a valid question with all this being so new, not just the ability, but also the rollout that we've done for our team. So we listened back to the recording, looked over what triggered it, and made sure she was comfortable before she even made a call. And one thing that absolutely blew us out of the water was the borrower's initial hesitation on the call. I think, in fact, she used the excuse, hey, I'm feeling kind of sick. Now's not a good time. And the AI almost had a human element to it where it was, oh my gosh, I hope you feel better. Maybe let's set something up next couple of days with the loan originator. And that's exactly what happened. So that
Wow,
conversation wouldn't have happened otherwise. And the goal again is not automating for the sake of automating. The goal is to make sure good relationship moments do not get missed just because everyone's busy. And with the tools in
totally.
place, our team isn't spending time again figuring out who to call. They're spending time actually calling, showing up to those conversations with some relevant pieces of information to share.
Yeah, awesome. Love it. So just to kind of recap, I think we're going to open up for a couple Q&A questions here, but I guess I would just recap with kind of three takeaways, right? Strong lead management strategy not only helps connect speed the lead, but it also initiates a long-term nurturing strategy. You got to have a long-term nurturing strategy to maximize conversions. So if you haven't looked at how your originators are converting their leads and you don't have best practices internally, really start to focus on how do you how do you make sure that you really evaluate that workflow and figure out how to transform and optimize that with today's technology, because it's certainly possible today. The second one is there's a ton of opportunities sitting in your database. So if you're not connecting your data intelligence engine, customer IQ, with your lead management strategy and really operationalizing that just like you would a referral partner lead, you're really leaving deals on the table and not maximizing those conversions. And then takeaway three, I would say, is um, you know learn from Alec and what USA has done. Build an enterprise strategy. Build best practices internally so that you can have consistency across your entire sales force to really unify your leads under one single platform that is operating under a human plus AI assisted model, because that's certainly the future.
Yeah, and
Um,
if you don't mind, I got a couple things to chime in there too
Go
with
ahead.
adding some context. The biggest takeaway I would say to leave people with is that the database most lenders already have is full of opportunity. And some LOs are better at working those databases than others. So the hard part is creating a uniform process that helps your team kind of act on it consistently without that becoming their full-time jobs, delivering in an easy way. Speed still matters, but long-term follow-up is really where a lot of relationships get created. So if you can combine the speed, the intelligence that we talk about, the AI sales assistant on top of, hey, a human follow-up model, you give the LOs a much better chance to win over that next conversation.
Right.
Then for us, Total Expert has helped us connect marketing, data, sales activity in ways that really feel more actionable for the field and creating that one source of truth that I mentioned earlier. So, in my opinion, if you're looking at this internally, I would start by asking where are opportunities getting lost at our organization today, and then work backward into the data, the process, and how you can catch them a little bit sooner. And again, it's not a one size fits all operation. You got to make sure, hey, the leads are getting messages when they should be in the process in the place that they are in.
Love it, Alec. Thank you for that. Melanie, I think we're gonna open it up for maybe some questions.
Yeah, and I think that's great. It looks like there's a question from Robert that was dropped in the chat. When can we expect lead assignment rules that are integrated with our LOs?
Yes, we do support lead assignment rules today. So if your organization has not activated the lead management capabilities that Alec and I talked about today, have your team reach out to, if you're an existing customer, reach out to your customer success manager. If you are a new customer, feel free to reach out. You can go to totalexpert.com. You can scan the QR code here, reach out to me, and we'd be happy to have that conversation and talk about how we would activate that.
Yeah, I see the compliance related one in there too, Robert. I can kind of check that one off. So we work very closely with our compliance team to make sure we're up to best practices on that front. Again, it is an extensive process to make sure we're on the right side of things. And then we also err on the side of caution a lot here. So a big part of the AI sales assistant is consent. So we need to make sure we're capturing that consent before we make a call to anybody. We don't service the loans here, so we need to make sure, again, that consent piece is in place. So we have that comfortability from our compliance team to reach out to the people in our database.
Yeah, so it's so critical. We still see a lot of, whether it's individual originators or lenders, just ignoring some of the really stringent TCPA compliance regulations. So we definitely spend a lot of time guiding our customers to make sure that they are doing things in the right manner to meet those TCPA requirements. So definitely lean into your partners and
Yeah.
try to not do things in silos as originators out there, please.
And Total Expert has been extremely helpful with us as well. Like just kind of getting your head around this very new piece. We've done several calls with our VP, our SVP of compliance, our COO, Dan, several folks on the TE side to just kind of get a better grasp around everything and make sure that everyone is at that comfortability level before we launch something. Because again, that's also going to be mission critical for you, Robert, is making sure all parties associated are comfortable with something going out, or else it's just not going to work. There's going to be friction.
I think that was the perfect way to end it, Alec. Like nobody wants friction, especially not when it's the summer.
Yeah, no friction from compliance. That's
No,
that's what we
no,
strive for every day here.
absolutely. Well, thank you both, Dan and Alec, for your time today. This has been a really great discussion. Everybody's going to get a copy of this recording, and it is going to have Alec and Dan's contact info in it. So please reach out for any questions that you might have after you've marinated on this session.
Beautiful. Well,
Thank you, Melanie, and thank you, TMC, for all you do for the industry. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. All right, you
try
guys take
quickly
care
on
and have
this.
a great
Yeah.
rest of your day.
Stay cold, Dan. Take care,
Yeah.
guys.